It's just the rhythm of the night. Oh, yeah. Uh-huh. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to 7 Minutes in Heaven, the only podcast that's 7 minutes long. And that's a lie, because this podcast is longer than that. A lot of people ask me, Evan, why did you name it 7 Minutes in Heaven? I don't know. It was the only pun thing I could think of, okay? There's been other puns thrown out there. Use take two. Stairway to Evan. That was one. Okay. God forbid a man likes a pun. Okay. Some people don't respect puns. Okay. You get a lot of comedians that think puns are just not funny. I'm not one of them. Okay. If you got a good pun, let me hear it. Don't do it while I'm on stage. Okay. Don't throw out your pun while I'm doing my thing. Okay. Unless your pun is just not punishable. Stupid. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the podcast. If this is your first time here, welcome. Stick around. You might mildly go like this just randomly during the episode. And that might be it. We're probably going to do something else while you listen to this. And that's great. That's what podcasts are for. Okay. Not changing the world, not giving us your opinion on political ideologies and protests, even though I've done that for 70% of this podcast. It's just, you just break it down. At the end of the day, a comedy podcast should just be white noise to your life while you're doing something else. That's it. It should just make you feel a connection and just be like, that is nice. It should be a warm blanket on a cold day. Okay. It should be watching Harry Potter play Potter as the leaves are starting to fall during fall. Okay. Is there anything better than that? Than seeing the leaves come off the trees in a nice cloudy, cold day, maybe the first one of the year, and then you throw on Harry Potter Uno. Okay. And it just goes. Okay, yeah, whistling that wasn't the best idea. Okay. Harry Potter might be the best fall movie there is. Okay. Some people like, what is that one that white girls post every single year? It's like the witches. It's their favorite. That is white girl culture. Okay. I shop at CVS. That's Halloween movies. And I don't agree with this, but Hocus Pocus. Okay. God forbid you don't like Hocus Pocus. God forbid you don't like Hocus Pocus and Taylor Swift's new album. Okay. Because you know what? They'll come after you. Okay. I've learned my lesson with the Swifties that they want their, Taylor Swift is, what is Taylor Swift? What's the equivalent of what guys do that Taylor Swift is? I don't know, any old dumb thing guys do. Okay. That's what Taylor Swift is. It's just this, you guys get one. Okay. It's the, I can't even find an equivalent. It's just, it is, I heard a little bit of the album because I'm a connoisseur of culture. Okay. And when someone makes such a splash like that, you just gotta, okay. Anyway, let's not do that. Let's not get this video taken down, this podcast attacked by the Swifties, okay? Because they come in swift, okay? And they come in mean, okay? That's the ironic thing about mean people on the internet, okay? Is the irony of so many people that protest, that say, you know, all this freedom of speech stuff, to do all these things, and then the second something, they're seething venom and poison. God forbid you have your own opinion on the internet. Okay. It's the most insane thing. And it's created a weird world. The internet is not real at all. Okay. Because what happens on the internet, and you see movements, and this is where people say it's not real. The internet's not real, but it feels real because some people can make millions or billions or all this stuff, or capitalize on it, or make things happen that give the idea that it's a real place, that it's this, it has power. And that's the dangerous thing, is that it does have power, but it's made people so disconnected. Okay. Listen, I return things to Amazon all the time. I don't care. Here, suck it, Jeff Bezos. But I'm so disconnected from it that when it comes, if I have to go into I don't think I've ever returned something from a mom and pop store. Okay. Because there's some actual connection to it. I don't care if I bought a jar of olives from a mom and pop store. I'm just going to, and I pop the top. Oh, these are spoiled. These are rotten. That's fine. Okay. I go buy a little toy, a little something from a mom and pop's, some kind of tool. It breaks. I just go, nah, it is what it is. They tried their best. Okay. And that's what the internet is. The internet is looking at Amazon for a return and having no care or disconnect of what it's affecting on the other side. When actually on the other side are other small businesses trying to sell their stuff on Amazon. But Amazon has this wall up that makes you think that you're not hurting these business or actual people. That's what people do when they spew these like terrible opinions and get so mean on the internet. They say things and they do things and they support things that they would never support doing, or at least the vehicle of how they display them would never be that way in person. And I think that's what is bad about the internet, is that it gives this like this blanket of security to talk a certain way that you just wouldn't talk in person. And it's easy, like this is a very well-known thing, but the thing is that the effect of someone talking like that from the person digesting it is taking it as if this person's in front of them. Like, I won't get controversial, but I'm gonna. But when the whole like Charlie Kirk thing was happening, it's a tragedy. No matter what you think, that was a terrible thing to happen to, a father and just a person who, in their mind, no matter what you think, they were trying to do what they thought was right in their religious beliefs and political beliefs. And no matter what you say, if you think like, he was bad or not, he was doing civil discourse in colleges. No matter what you thought his stances were, he was doing what teachers should be doing in colleges, which is challenging ideas and creating a safe space for people to have different views. That's the whole idea of what political, differences is supposed to have. We're supposed to debate. You're supposed to talk about ideas, and the best ideas are supposed to win. But that's not what's happening, like, at all. And it becomes such a thing where it's like you can't even say certain things without getting reported, without all this stuff. But you started seeing around that time some of the worst things being said just about another human, and it makes me sad. It makes me sad because, and by the way, I know I'm like so late to this whole conversation because your boy just stopped putting out podcasts because I was out there living, brother. Okay? Your boy out there living. And, but it made me very sad when all that stuff was going on. And I truly got sad for a couple days of seeing a lot of people that I know personally posting some stuff where I was like, it's just a bummer to see you react like this because of what you think this person believed rather than, what they objectively were doing. And that goes for anybody. If there was another, I don't care what political belief someone has, that happening is dangerous for everybody. That idea of like, we're not protecting free speech and this is something, and you start seeing people celebrate, it's going to turn. There'll be a time when it turns on you and it's like celebrating some stuff, but I'm also, the whole point is when you go out, I went out and around people, after that happened, and in person, you realize everybody kind of feels like, yeah, it's insane what people are posting. It's just that you're seeing the loudest things and the most engaging things and the most poisonous things about it. And you just go, oh, yeah, I forgot that's what the internet is. And it needs to be a balance of that. I think I think there's a lot of people who just get lost in the internet completely. And it's, if you've been following me, which I doubt you'd be listening to this if you're not, but maybe if first time, stick around, dude. We're gonna say something that's gonna get you going. Huh? Your boy likes the show Life Below Zero. And if you haven't watched Life Below Zero, they don't pay me anything. Okay. I hope you'll give it a chance. It's basically a show in Alaska where they follow all these different people who live a subsistence lifestyle where they live off the land in big ways. They're all living remotely in different areas of Alaska. You follow an Inuit family, these Eskimos, these natives that are there, and you go with them in their town. I think they're outside of Kavik. Me pretending like I know the geographical layout of Alaska. Never been there. But you go with them, they hunt, and they have all these different native rules and laws that they can do. They catch fish, they go hunting for caribou and all this stuff. They trade the food they get for, supplies. If one of their, their vehicles that they ride, they'll have like a snowmobile. If one of those breaks down and they need like a belt to it, they'll put out on like this little, they have like a walkie-talkie for the town. And he'll go trade. He'll be like, I got caribou meat and I got some seal oil. And they like trade and they do all this stuff. And it's very satisfying just to watch, like living off the land. There's another guy who like runs sled dogs and he's just like this crazy woodworker who builds all this stuff. And you go with another guy who's like he's like a hunting guide, and you go with him while he's hunting, and he like skins the animal and sells the pelts. He does like taxidermy kind of stuff. He'll go into town and sell them, and it's just like a very satisfying. It's almost like just listening to one instrument, and I realize that's what I like miss and crave is the kind of content, and I just call it content because it's like easier to say that. That's like what we're digesting all the time. I crave singular content. I crave, like these things that are just like they're taking up one frequency of my head. Sometimes it feels like when you go online, if you're just watching really like scrolling content, it's so changing, and you never, it's almost like you're trying to do like dig a hole. You're never scratching more than the surface. You're just going constantly, just flipping, going through it, scrolling, and you're getting these like super initial like dopamine hits, but there's like no real reward of it. But like when you watch an actual show, and especially an older show that came out, 10 to 15 years ago, the whole reward system was different of like watching a story, understanding it. You watch movies, from before the internet, and it's built different. The timeline is different. And it's like, I think we fucked up. Because I think we just started capitalizing on the fact that our reward system can be hijacked in a weird way, where all the content start making that be like, oh, well, let's just keep feeding them this way. But like, it was like introducing artificial food, like a bunch of chips, like this really stimulating thing. We're just like, oh, and we just kept feeding it. It's getting shorter and shorter and shorter and shorter to the point where like, we're not really getting any nutritional value from like short form content. But I think when you watch something like Life Below Zero, like real following people, granted, and I'm so sorry for burping. Granted, if you watch, I know it's a reality show. Okay, I'm well aware. And I'm sure there's like some fake stuff. But some of the things that happen in these experiences, and then you just see like, oh yeah, you start saying, oh yeah, there is like a deep satisfaction these people get from having singular experiences by simplifying their life to the point where they're getting such a reward off of basic amenities. I like heard that on a podcast recently that you are like, if you're living right now, you're living better than all royalty, every millionaire or billionaire from like 50 years ago. You have more amenities and delicacies and things that they had no access to. And it's all because of like our culture and the lack of depth in everything we're doing, to where we just like our reward systems are fried. Our comparison is fried, and we're just like not doing tasks in front of us. And I say all this just because this is all a reflection of everything that I'm trying to deal with right now. This is a very philosophical episode. This is how dumb I am that I'm calling this all philosophical. I don't feel great at all when I do these like deep dives into social media and stuff. Like I get lost in it. And then what I've been doing is just like switching over to like, I grew up doing construction and everything like that from a very young age when I was a kid. And it was one of the things where like my dad did want me to take over the business and do all this stuff. He was a general contractor, but like I just did it as a kid and all this stuff. And I didn't want that at all. I was like, I'm a silly goose, not a working goose. Okay. But I took on a lot of skill sets from it. And I took on also the idea of just like building things. And now it's like all coming around to where I'm enjoying building things. I'm enjoying, doing, if you've been following me on social media, your boy's been building a patio slab. That shit is, it's coming out nice. I'm about to start building some privacy fences, some lattices, painting and all. Got the paint arriving today. No big deal. But I'm enjoying doing these projects that have a beginning and an end, and it's like gratifying to do them. And I'm like trying to get back to that, to doing these things. And then I've also noticed, and this is something I picked up from like Life Below Zero, is doing some of these tasks. Like there's some day where this guy was just like, yeah, like today I have to get all my fish. He had sled dogs. He's like, I got to do all this all day. Hanging, I think he was catching something like 300, 400 fish a day with this crazy machine. And he would have to hang it all day long when he would get it off the boat. He would just get it, gut them, hang it, get it. And it was just like an all day process. And he's like, yeah, it's cathartic and it's meditative. And I just really like think very deeply when I do it. And that was like beautiful to me. Because I realize I don't think enough. It's like a weird thing to say, but I have so much just like input from like the start of my day to where I have to like actively try to not get sucked into the vortex that is my phone from the very first start of the day. I keep it across the house when I sleep, and I'll catch myself because there's always something I can be doing for a client or checking an email. Show bookings. There's always something that my Schmeagle brain goes, go check your phone, Precious. Precious, you might have a new show, Precious. Maybe you sold some tickets, But then I have to fight that voice to go, let's just start our day slow. Let's really start thinking about what you want to do today. Let's get this started right. I'll take the dog for a walk. I'll take the baby with me. We'll go for a walk and, I'll talk to her a lot while we're walking. That's been another beautiful thing. And I think that's why a lot of this pull to really actually do some of these changes. Again, that was the big point with Life Below Zero, was that he didn't listen to music. He didn't do anything. We're talking like 8 to 10 hour days. And that's like the craziest thing, because I don't think humans are like really bored anymore. I don't think we just really do tasks without having our phone. We don't go out for like 8-10 hours a day. And if you talk to anybody, especially comedians, when they're like, yeah, my phone was put away and I went out fishing and hiking, did all this stuff, I feel amazing. But then we go right back to our little drug addiction. But having a baby who is about to turn a year old next month, it feels truly like it was yesterday. Not really. It's been a long year, but that's just what parents say. I don't know why parents do it. Okay. I get that it does go very fast, but you just realize how fast life is going. And also you're just like in survival mode the whole first year. It's such a critical, I don't know, I'm trying to keep this thing alive and instill these things, all the developmental, oh my God, you're like, you can get lost. And that's another thing with the internet, how terrible it can be, is like what you see with stuff with kids and parents. And it's just like, dude, it's all bad. There's some payoff where I think it's good, the internet, but you got to use it as a tool and not get lost in it, especially with comparison with kids and stuff like that. I don't really do that too much, but I see it have a grip on people. And there's so much fear mongering. That's a crazy thing with kids is once you start having kids, it's almost, this is the corniest way to say it, but it's like your heart being outside of your body. Like it's a kind of love and just a love, like the capacity for love has changed so much with me. It's like, do you ever play Zelda, The Legend of Zelda? You'd start out the game with just like a few hearts as your life bar. And then by the end of the game, you have like 15. Like my capacity for love has changed, and my capacity for happiness and joy has changed so much. But something they don't tell you is your capacity for fear and dread and sadness can also change. I remember, and this is the thing is like, now when I see like a parent with a sick kid in a hospital or something terrible happening, I'm like heartbroken for them because when my daughter was 2 months or 2 days old, we had to take her to the NICU. Granted, everything worked out very well, but it was a scary couple days. I think we were there for 3 or 4 days, and it was terrifying. It was scary because there was so much unknown, and there was a lot of things thrown out about, brain damage and hearing loss and all these things. And there's always, things about mortality and this, but we got close to some things where it got scary, but we were just waiting and hoping for these test results to come back and everything would be good. And, these levels would go down. And I remember, I got extremely lucky with all of that. But it was like we were so sleep deprived, and it was terrible. I remember, dude, this was crazy. Is I remember I hadn't been emotional the whole time, and my poor wife, she didn't even go away from our baby for 3 days, and they had a little room for us to sleep in that was connected to the wing, and we would take turns, and I'd be like, you need to go in there. It was just a little dark room, and you have to try to sleep, because she was just I remember going on 3 days, no sleep. And when I say no sleep, I mean, we might've drifted off for 30, 40 minutes, in a chair in the actual hospital room. But she couldn't stand it. She would just have nightmares and wake up and need to come back in there and all this stuff. And it was brutal. And I remember we had our friends, Grant and Hannah, shout out to Vandergoose, very talented musicians. They just had another baby. Shout out, dude. And they brought us supplies. And I remember when I saw Hannah, I just broke down crying. And it was it was one of those ugly cries where she just drove up to the NICU, and she had brought Gatorade and all this stuff. And it was just so overwhelming. And it was pent up, just emotions from that time and all of that, because it was just you just get introduced to this new capacity of happiness, but then you're just so dropped into this new dread and fear and exhaustion at the same time. And I remember they had this, it was pretty cool at the NICU. They have this Ronald McDonald room for families that are there for extended time, to where you can just go in there. There's a kitchen, there's a TV. And I remember going in there because I had my laptop, and I had to send emails and do stuff for clients and take care of some things. I remember it was 6, I don't know, it was 6 a.m. or 7 a.m. and I was in there, and this other dad goes in there, and I don't know what was going on with him, but I remember we just sat there, and it was so intense. I remember I yawned, and he I don't know if I rubbed my eyes or something, but I was it was one of those dramatic A24 moments. And he was what did he say? It was so profound. Fuck. It was so profound. I can't find it. I think he said something the days are short, but I butchered it. Going to edit out that entire segment where I got too serious for a second. Yeah, I forgot what he said. It was very profound. But it had to be like the days are long and the something are short. But anyway, whatever, dude. This is the first episode back, dude. I'm going to forget some shit and just not say things cool for a bit. Okay. Yeah, it was a crazy experience. And all of that was just nuts. And that was like just such a crazy thing with like, I don't know, having a kid is really like, it makes you, this is like the funny thing. And I know people hate new parents because, and I do, trust me, I have so many jokes about it, about how annoying new parents are. And even before I was a parent, all of a sudden parents are just like waxing poetic about life and stuff. But I think it's like this crazy thing that just happens where you're like, oh yeah, it's not just me anymore. Now I have to care about some stuff that's happening in the world. I can't be so willy-nilly with like, this is, yeah, you guys do whatever you want, blah, blah, blah. And it's just like not encroaching on your life. But then you go, oh, now some of the stuff is going to be encroaching on my kid's life that I have to try to, at least give them an opportunity to have a normal life and, not be influenced by the most crazy batshit things on the internet, So it's like you have to, I don't know, have opinions and do research and really get involved in some stuff. But all that to be said, when you have a kid, it like you don't just become a better person. That's what I was hoping would happen. I was hoping that I would just be like, yo, I'm just built different now. Like I thought I was going to get a firmware update. No, I'm the same dude. Okay. But the only thing that changed is like now I have this reason to like do all that stuff that I've wanted to do and trying to be a certain way. But it doesn't just happen. You got to do it. And then you just feel all this guilt and shame if you don't do it. So in my experience, guilt and shame is like a pretty serious motivator. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, how you guys been? Life's been good. Just been busy. Shows are going good. I'm going to be honest with you guys, feeling a little stagnant with comedy. I don't know if this is a cool thing to talk about on a podcast, but I don't give a shit. Okay. Feeling stagnant in a sense of, I've been in Austin for a while now, and I feel your boy has to spread his wings. Okay. And I've been trying, and it's one of those things where I've gotten a little comfortable with my surroundings and producing so much, which I love doing and stuff, but I've gotten a little unfocused on what the end goal is. So I'm going to be making some adjustments and trying to tour more. Okay. If you live in a city and there's a comedy club, let your boy know. I know comedy clubs, but if there's one that you're just like, yeah, check out this place, I'll reach out to them. I would love to perform there. Okay. If you're another comedian who has an in, let your boy know. Okay. I'm out here trying to flex my feathers. Okay. Other than that, everything's good. Okay. We got a lot changing in the world. People getting upset. People not getting upset. Dude, you know what's one thing that's kind of crazy is, I'm not going to get controversial here. Okay. It just came out. Did you guys see Charlie Kirk's funeral? I was like, this is a funeral. This is what funerals are now. Nothing sad about this. Granted, I fast forward through a lot of the speeches just to see who's there. I get it was like a huge thing. There's fireworks. Hey, listen. I get, there's fireworks. His wife came out to fireworks on stage. Okay. Dude, if I passed away and my wife just walked on stage and I don't know, even some bottle rockets went off, maybe some screaming willies, maybe if there was even smoke, I'd be like, hey, you seem a little too excited about this. Okay, why are you celebrating? This is, I get it, a celebration of life, but like, I don't want my wife to celebrate too much. I wouldn't want my wife to take over my podcast when I pass away, which is what has happened. Okay. But that was a tragedy, and I'm being serious with that. Okay. But that was it's just crazy. Some of the things, that you see, and everybody grieves different. Okay. What else is going on? How do we get out of that hole, huh? Riyadh Comedy Festival. Whew. Comics are under fire. Okay. If you don't know what the Riyadh Comedy Festival is, it is the festival being put on by the 9/11 guys. Okay. The people who did 9/11. A bunch of American comedians are going over there to help do publicity for those guys, to be like, hey, they've changed. They're not the same. Enough time has passed. Y'all remember Never Forget? Okay. Never forget. That was the only thing they said about it, about 9/11. They just said they didn't say like, do you have to do something back? They said, never forget about that. And it seems like a lot of free speech people are forgetting about that. Okay. It's easy for comedians to like talk shit about this and about the comedians who went over there. And I always say, God bless you. If your goal is to make money, make your money. Okay. But if you want to be and there's probably some good arguments there probably is a good argument. I would like to hear it. What the good argument is of why you went over there and was willing to dance and perform for people who are so oppressive and against free speech. Especially if you've taken the stance as like, I'm a freedom of speech kind of guy. If you're not a freedom of speech person and you're just like, I'm an entertainer, I don't want, and this is an argument, is I believe in performing, and you're a hired gun, and also you think you're on like a crusade to introduce these people to Western culture. Is that maybe how you can spin it? Is that they're trying to do better? Are you trying to be an olive branch to this culture that's still oppressing people and doing all this? Look, I'm not a political, I don't really have a chicken in this fight, other than I don't think I would do it. Okay. At my level, listen, I'm nowhere near anywhere of being offered this kind of stuff. I don't know if I would do it even if they offered me life-changing money. Just for the idea, just on principle. Okay, I don't know if it's a good move. It's a weird move, but also it seems like a lot of comedians didn't realize how bad it was going to be. So there's a lot of like, okay, it's just ignorance, and you didn't know that was what was happening. You did it, you saw the backlash, and then you still were like, well, I'm not going to bow down to backlash. So there's almost like okay, well, good for you though. Freedom of speech that way, I guess. Anyway, I don't know anything, dude. I'm just a man in his 30s trying to educate himself. Okay. I've been getting really into history. That's a fun thing that I've been doing. That is peak male in his 30s experience, is getting into woodworking. You either get into woodworking, history, brewing your own beer in your garage, which I personally think is the lowest hanging fruit of any of those things. Like, I think when you start getting into like dark beer and stuff, that's when I'm like, you've turned into the worst version of this Pokemon. Okay. You took the brewing beer in your own garage stone. That's what you evolved into. Okay. I mean, the coolest version of a man in his 30s is probably like Krav Maga. You don't see many of those, right? Where some dude just like randomly just wakes up, spawns into consciousness, and he's just like, I want to become a Krav Maga guy. Okay. Krav Maga is crazy. Okay. There's not very, if you don't know what Krav Maga is, I forgot where it originated from, but it's a very intense self-defense thing. And a lot of it is practical. Some of the Krav Maga guys, very real. They're not like the fake internet gurus that are like using energy and shit. They're like real world application. I remember I did a Krav Maga class. There was a school that I went to for jiu-jitsu, and did Krav Maga also. I went to it and I did one of the classes. Shit was done in a car. It was like, this is how you beat the shit out of someone, stab them in the arm and break their arm when they try to break into your car. And it was this whole thing where someone sticks their hand through the car, you like pull it, pop it up, stab them in the throat and shit. It was real intense. I was like, okay, I'm just trying to like not be insecure when I public speak. You know, that's why I'm getting into the martial arts. And some people are like, no, I want, it's so funny to train for such a detailed situation. Like that's the thing about the application of like boxing. You know, there's plenty of situations that boxing can just happen and come up. Footwork, a jab is always going to be there. Jiu-jitsu, yeah, someone tackles you, someone, you know, you take someone down, now they're in your world, as jiu-jitsu guys like to say. Come into the ocean, I'm a shark, or whatever, you know, I'm an octopus. The jiu-jitsu people say the weirdest animal metaphors. They love a good metaphor where they're calling themselves some kind of sea creature. They're never like, I'm a seahorse, why don't you try and mount me? It's always real weird with the jiu-jitsu guys. Jiu-jitsu, obviously, very sus. It always has been. They like, someone infiltrated the jiu-jitsu world because it used to be like we wear a gi and we're like bowing and stuff. And then somewhere along the line, someone spilled glitter into the dish. And then all of a sudden it's like, we're men in tights and we're going to wear only tights, no shoes, and cups are optional. Okay. And we're also going to wear skin tight clothes from wrist to hoof. Okay. Just skin tight. All right. And then there's all these weird transitions and different joint manipulations, and they're very effective. A lot of very colorful, but they love a good animal metaphor to describe themselves. And they like the ocean. Everything is, I'm a clam, come inside of me. You know, it's really, jiu-jitsu is a weird one. Okay. And that's coming from someone who's done it for a few years. Okay. And I would get, you know, I almost pressed charges on my former senseis. Okay. Cause grown men, they'd be behind me. They'd be holding me from behind and being like, yes, very good. You know, don't let me inside your car. You know, it was very interesting. But anyway, those are disciplines where it's you can apply them pretty easily. But when you get to Krav Maga, okay, you're waiting for a very detailed situation. They will simulate scenarios like you are on a park bench and you're feeding pigeons and someone comes up with a plastic gun, and what do? And you have a brown bag of pigeon feed, and it's just you're going to make that situation happen because you're going to be buying pigeon feed. You've never fed a pigeon in your day. Like if you're one of those crazy guys who are like, I want to do this in the world. By the way, that would happen. You might think that's crazy. There was guys that I boxed with and trained with that as soon as they would learn something, they'd be like, do you want to go to a party tonight? And they would try to start a fight. And I'd be like seeing them like, you're trying out that new move that you just learned. So it applies to Krav Maga as well. Okay. These guys, they get out there, you teach them one thing with pigeon feed. And the next thing you know, they're beating the shit out of 85-year-old men. Okay. On a park bench. Okay. Just for sitting down. They're just shotgun to the face with pigeon feed pretty much. Okay. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, this has been a good episode. Good episode as in it went the full length of time, okay? Whether this was good, that's subjective. That's not up to me, okay? This is like pigeon feed. I just throw it out to the world and you guys decide if you want to pick on it at all, okay? But ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening to the podcast. We're going to be trying to be getting more consistent with it, okay? I'm going to do my best, okay? That's all I'm going to do is I'm going to try to be putting out content. I hope you guys like it, enjoy it, subscribe. Let me know I'm doing an okay job. Come see me do live comedy. Okay. There should be some links in the profile. Follow me on Instagram. I am Evan Lopez. Every Friday, 6 p.m. at East Austin Comedy Club. You can always see me perform. Other shows, all over town. Sadly, all over town. That's always the saddest intro when someone brings me on stage. This next comic, he's hilarious. I love him. He performs all over town. Cool. Sounds like I'm riding a bicycle to gig. Okay. This guy is the one zip code killer. Okay. Hey, give it up for this guy who is like a messenger pigeon that can only fly 10 miles. Here comes a local act. Ladies and gentlemen, I love you guys. Thank you for listening to the podcast. And if you're one of those day oneers that have been here since 2020, when did we start? 2019, I think. Okay. I love you, dude. Ride or dies. I love you. Maybe we'll make merch. We can do it. I don't give a fuck. One person DMs me wanting merch. I'm making it, dude. I'm dropping it. Gonna DM myself. I love you guys. I'll see you next week.